Well, Sydney, it happened at a townhome here on Harlan Way. I'm going to step out of the way because you can see the crime scene tape remains up around the townhome. The investigation still very active. We've seen several Forsyth County deputies and detectives going in and out of the home. There's also a trauma services truck here, which cleans up crime scenes. Now,
Inside of a gated community right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, a young person will run to his neighbor's house, terrified and scared, after a terrible event took place at his house. It was obvious physically that the young boy had been hurt, and he would let the neighbor know that he had been shot and his mom had been shot too. Law officials were quickly called to the location, and when they got inside, they walked in on a disturbing scene. This crime left the whole community shook because stuff like this only happens beyond the gates. 49-year-old Tamara Tulip Bartlett, originally from Miami, Florida, would move up to Georgia many years ago to make a better life for her four boys. Coming up, life wasn't always easy, but she worked very hard to make sure she could provide them a good education. Her hard work and dedication would pay off, and one of her kids would end up in Notre Dame, and from there, he would go into the NFL. Her son, Stephon Tuitt, would end up getting drafted in the 2024 NFL Draft, and he would end up playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers for many years as a defensive tackle. After his first couple of years in the league, he would end up signing a new contract worth $61 million. And with that extension, he would go ahead and purchase his mother a home. By this time, his mother had been a sheriff deputy in Gwinnett County for many years, and the townhome inside that gated community was just what she wanted. She would move into that home around 2018. Even though her son had enough money to retire her, she wanted to continue working because she enjoyed being a sheriff deputy. With one son in the NFL and another one in college playing football chasing his dreams. Another one of her children, Richard Bartlett III, was in the process of moving out on his own with him and his girlfriend. However, sadly, that move would not fully happen because on June 3rd, 2021, Richard would sadly lose his life right in front of his mother. Richard was in a vehicle going down McGinnis Ferry Road just before the bridge at the Chattahoochee River. His mother would be following behind too, and they were only a few minutes away from her townhome. That is when Richard noticed that a bed was slipping off the top of a vehicle, so all of them would pull over and put their hazards on. As Richard stepped out of the car he was in to adjust the bed on top of the vehicle, another car would come by not paying attention and hit him, but sadly, the car would turn around and realize it was a person and then take off.
A Gwinnett County Sheriff's deputy's son who was killed in a hit and run this week. Loved ones gathered for a vigil at Collins Hill Park in Lawrenceville on Saturday to honor 23-year-old Richard Bartlett III. Mourners gifted his family, including his brother, Stephon Tuitt of the Pittsburgh Steelers, with trinkets to remember him. A driver hit Bartlett Wednesday night on McGinnis Ferry Road in Johns Creek as he tried to secure a mattress to his girlfriend's car.
After this disturbing crime took place, it was all over the news, and authorities were begging for anyone with information to come forward to find the person who took his life. His mother would report that what she saw take place was so disturbing and that his body flew into the air, and when Richard hit the concrete, every part of his body was broken. Once this terrible news reached back to his brother, who was obviously living in Pittsburgh because he played for the Steelers, he would come back home to help deal with the situation. But tragically, Stephon being the older brother and help raising his three younger siblings, this crime really devastated him, and he had to take time away from the NFL on top of already having an injury. Stephon, along with law officials, will put up a reward for answers, but sadly, no one has came forward.
Family hoping a bigger reward and new billboard will help catch the driver who hit their loved one.
Bartlett is the son of a Gwinnett Sheriff's deputy, Tamara Bartlett, who was actually following him in another car when it happened. The family hoping the bigger reward and this mobile digital sign that will travel through Johns Creek and around Gwinnett County will lead to an arrest. Now, anyone with any information on the driver or the car, they're being asked to reach out to Johns Creek Police or Crime Stoppers.
Year after year would pass, and sadly, there were still no answers. However, the family did their best to try to move forward, with hopes that one day the person will be caught or just turn themselves in. What no one saw coming, though, was that same house that Stephon Tuitt bought for his mother with his NFL money would be the same house that she would lose her life in. According to the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, they received a call around 8 p.m. that Saturday from a citizen inside the subdivision behind the gated community. letting them know that a young neighbor showed up to their front door bleeding. Tamara's youngest son would explain that his mother and her boyfriend were arguing and that the boyfriend was shooting off a gun. The neighbor would apply pressure to his wounds until emergency personnel arrived. The teenager was then taken to a local hospital for multiple gunshot wounds but is listed in stable condition. Deputies would arrive and enter the home after getting no response. They would locate Tamara upstairs in a bedroom, and sadly, she was deceased. The suspect, who they identified as 43-year-old Eric Sumner, had fled the scene, and he was later tracked down traveling south on Interstate 75, and the Monroe County Sheriff's Department would find him. A brief chase would take place before he was eventually taken into custody.
The teenager told the neighbor their mother and her boyfriend were arguing when the boyfriend began shooting. Deputies arrived and found the off-duty Gwinnett County deputy in the upstairs bedroom. The sheriff's office says the suspect, identified as Eric Sumner, left the area. Monroe County deputies found Sumner traveling on I-75. He was arrested after a brief chase. We have reached out to the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office and we are waiting to hear back. Live in Swanee, I'm Niamani Watson, Atlanta News First.
Law officials state he'll eventually be transported back to Forsyth County to face charges of homicide and 2 counts of aggravated harm with attempt to murder, and also additional charges are said to be pending. From what I gathered, the relationship between Eric and Tamara is still fairly fresh, so for him to take her life like that is definitely disturbing. It doesn't even appear his intentions were ever pure from the beginning when he got with her, and who knows, he might have got with her just because of her son's status. It is just very sad and tragic. She was coming up on 20 years of being a sheriff deputy, and I know she knew how to protect herself. And sadly, he probably took her life with one of her own guns. It's so unfortunate that she got tied up in this type of situation, and now her remaining 3 children are grieving another loss. And unfortunately, they still haven't got justice for Richard. I hope and pray that justice comes for Richard, and I hope and pray that Eric faces full justice for the crime he committed. Her life mattered, Tamara's life mattered, and she deserved to be here. She worked so hard to accomplish so much, and still, even with her son being a multimillionaire, she still continued to work and serve her community, and her life shouldn't have been snatched away from her behind a man who couldn't control his emotions. So please don't forget to comment your thoughts and prayers for this family in their difficult time, and hit that like button and share to make your people aware. And as always, remember to stay woke. Things change quickly.